On today's episode, I sit down with Elise Cole with the Breathing Room. She is a certified breathwork practitioner, a mom of 5 girls, and she has her plate full. I loved this conversation so much. She was very vulnerable and authentic and showed up so real to share her story, and I'm so grateful for that. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. With that being said, none of the information today on the show is medical advice. If you are experiencing postpartum depression and anxiety or anything else that we discussed on the show today, for you to reach out to your practitioner. And I hope that you enjoy this episode as much as I did. And this is our first guest episode on the Grounded Mama podcast. So please help me in giving a warm welcome to Elise Cole. Let's dive in. Do you wake up with the intention of being a present and patient mom, only to find yourself feeling overwhelmed and depleted amidst the chaos of daily life? Hi, I'm Leslie, a mom of littles and the host of the Grounded Mama podcast. Here we will find balance by integrating practices that reduce overstimulation and stress in order to enhance your whole family's well-being. Ready to slow down and be the intentional mother you desire to be? Okay, mama, it's time to feel grounded. Take a deep breath and let's dive in. Hi, everybody. I have Elise with the Breathing Room here with me today, and I'm so excited that she is our special guest here on the Grounded Mama podcast. And Elise, if you wouldn't mind taking a minute just to do a little bit of an introduction about yourself, who you are, and maybe a little bit about your family, whatever you feel like you're called to share, I'd love to hear. I'm just so glad that our paths have connected, and I'm so excited to learn more about you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me on. This is a treat. So my name is Elise Cole. I've been married for almost 20 years. Our anniversary is in a couple of weeks. We
Wow.
have 5 daughters. So I've got 5 daughters ranging from my youngest just turned 6 a few days ago, or 7 just a few days ago. And my oldest is getting ready to graduate high school. So I've got quite a range of ages. I'm a radiology technologist, actually. I work at a local hospital taking x-rays and running the live floor in the OR rooms and stuff. And I'm also a breathwork practitioner. I graduated with an international breathwork license about 6 months ago.
Wow.
And I trained with the School of Breathwork out of Australia for
That's
yeah.
that's
So that's
just
it in a nutshell.
I mean, that's a lot. I mean, 5 kids and married 20 years. I mean, there's a lot of life in there and working, working in a hospital and then becoming an international certified breathwork practitioner. I mean, again, I think mothers don't get a pat on the back as much as they should for all that we do, and that's my job here is to honor
Mhm.
every single mother and their journey and their motherhood journey and their journey in life and just kind of how it all just meshes together. And I think it's just such a beautiful thing that it looks different for all of us. And so, five girls, you said, or is just five?
5 girls.
5 girls. Wow,
Yeah,
and the
lots
range
of
of
feelings.
hormones. Yeah,
Lots of feelings at our house.
lots of
My
feelings,
poor
lots of big
husband.
feelings.
He's gotten really good at it, but
Uh,
oh boy,
oh well, bless
it's a
him,
lot.
bless him.
Bless him is right.
So tell me a little bit more about the maybe your journey, not just maybe within motherhood, but what kind of led you to become a breathwork practitioner? I think, like we just said, there's a lot of feelings, there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot there, not just having 5 children, but all girls, and just maybe share if it was a part of your motherhood journey, something that kind of led you to that, or do you mind maybe touching a little bit more on that?
Absolutely. I feel like often our greatest pain leads us to the places that will bring us the most light sometimes. So I suffered with postpartum depression actually after every one of my babies. And along with that has come a huge amount of overwhelm. I get overstimulated very, very easily, and I truly did not know what I bit off when I like decided to have a big family. Um, I didn't really know what I was in for, truthfully. And the level of overwhelm was just massive. And I started looking for solutions. Once I had that fifth, I know that she was the last one, and it was like at an all-time, well, my anxiety was at an all-time high. My mental health was at an all-time low. I was on antidepressants and still not feeling great. My energy was super low. Um, Summers were like my greatest fear,
Mm.
having all five of them home, and I felt like a cruise director. And just from the moment everyone woke up, like, Mom, 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 like, this is what I need you to do to make my day magical. While having these little tiny ones at home too. Like, I've got teenagers and tinies. So it was just a lot. And so I started looking in odd places. I started doing yoga. I did meditation. I went and got my hormones tested, and I um, had a doctor that thought maybe I had ADHD, and there's so much to unpack with all of that. And then I saw an ad on Instagram, actually. My teacher, who's from Australia, was teaching a class, and I didn't even know what it was. I just saw this ad for a nervous system reset. And I was like, I had literally Googled how to reset my nervous system like so many times. And even I said to my doctor at one point, like, my nervous system is just really fried. I can't purge the overwhelm. I would have to cry.
Mm.
That's the only way that I could like reset, was like every few days I would have to just this purging, like ugly cry. And my doctor was like, well, maybe you need anxiety medication. I was already on antidepressants. Like, I didn't want to go
Hmm.
on another pill. And so when I saw this ad for nervous system reset, I was like, I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know what it was about. And I didn't know, had never even heard of breath work, but I knew that those were the exact words that I had looked for, was nervous system, like how to reset my nervous system. So I
Mm.
signed up, and it was a 5 free day, a 21-day paid nervous system reset using breath work, using the breath to reset the nervous system. And I think before the 21 days was over, I was on the wait list because I noticed such a difference so quickly in just this 15 minutes of breath work that I'm going to do this practice with your listeners after our discussion. Just doing this once a day. Within a week, I told my husband, I was like, if what is happening to my nervous system is really happening, I have found the miracle that I've been searching for years. And within at least 3 weeks at the most, I was on a wait list, and I was like, I don't know anything about breath work. All I know is it's the key I've been searching for, and I owe it to everyone I know to learn as much as I can. And that was almost 3 years ago. So it
Wow.
was just a really deep dive, and it's just been such a journey. It's been really hard and really amazing and such a blessing. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And I feel like I had a similar experience as you did with finding that shift, that monumental shift in less than 30 days. I mean, for not being a band-aid approach, it is certainly a moving the needle, shifting the needle forward or in a different trajectory than what you're headed, kind of like an airplane. If you just, one notch, it can end up in a completely different landing spot. So it's that micro shift of just that awareness and like, oh my gosh, there's something moving in my body. I have the awareness of that, and I have to do this. Like, just knowing, like having that inner deep knowing. I think that's so
Absolutely.
transformational with your experience with postpartum depression. I mean, we could get into the whole science part of like our hormones and how like
There's
you
so
said,
much.
the magic my girls needed from me to create every single day. That was something that really stuck out to me because I feel that. I feel as moms, there's such a weight. Like it sometimes it seems like an invisible weight, especially maybe around the holidays with the magic of the holidays or, summertime, expectations with summertime and trips and fun things. And I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of weight
It's a
on
lot.
us and a lot that maybe we put on ourselves that we don't, that we're not aware of. So I appreciate that. I appreciate your vulnerability and your
And your
honesty,
honesty.
and I think it's something that is is it's like you said, there's pain in our purpose and it's painful, but you have to get through that to get to the other side. So thank you again for sharing that. And the breath work that you experienced, was it a I mean, I feel like breath work is kind of one of these things that is up and coming. I mean, I know you said you did it 3 years ago, but had you ever experienced breath work, or had you ever done any kind of breath work at all? Or was this like like, what is breath work? Like kind of question popped into your
Yeah,
head?
I had never heard of it. So when the ad popped up, I was like, using the breath to clear stuck material in your nervous system. It was just this like, I'd never heard of it. The weird thing is, though, this is kind of off on a little tangent, but um, in the years before I found breath work, I had this really distinct impression that the overwhelm was somehow in my lungs. And I had never heard of breath work, but I had thought if I could just cough it out, like I could just feel it. It's just really kind of an interesting little tidbit
Yeah. No,
that
and I think, like you
intuitively
said,
I felt that.
yeah, no, and I think like breath work, it's like something we do, we breathe day in and day out, every single day. We're breathing right now. And I just think, again, having a tool that's within us that comes in and out of us, like every moment, every waking and moment of every day, I just think it's so fascinating. Like, why aren't more of us doing this? Why, like you said, you were
Mm,
on antidepressants and the postpartum depression, and those are all very real things, and I honor those and see those. But it's like,
absolutely.
why
Yeah.
are we not tuning into our own bodies and trying to externally outsource to how to heal ourselves when it's really ultimately within.
I think that the breath is the least understood and the most underutilized tool that we have.
Mm,
And it is becoming, it's kind of a buzzword. Once you hear about it, you won't stop hearing about it.
right.
It is growing really very quickly. Um, I can't overestimate the power that is in the breath.
Yeah.
It's divine. There's no other word for it for me. Um, it is the bridge that connects our body to our spirit.
Mm,
And what makes us a living soul. And there's something very very little understood and just
mhm.
absolutely sacred, truly, about the breath.
Yeah, I think, and like I think we've kind of touched a little bit before on that, is it's the first thing we do when we enter this world, and it's the last thing that we do. So it is literally life and death. I mean, and rebirthing ourselves in a way. Like I think as moms, I think every time we have a child, I think a new version of us is kind of born in a way, and
Oh, we're
you
birthing
learn
new versions of ourselves all the time.
all the time.
All the time. In fact, this branch of breathwork is called Rebirthing Breathwork Mastery.
Mm,
For that reason that we are rebirthing, we're making new decisions about life, new decisions about who we are and what our purpose is, and what we want to accomplish in the world, and what our beliefs about ourselves and our beliefs about the world. We're birthing new definitions and new versions of those questions, answers to those questions all the time.
wow. That gives you something to think about, right? Something to chew on. What is different about rebirthing breathwork mastery that compared to like maybe because yeah, you like you said you can't unhear breathwork once you hear breathwork. So is there a difference between the breathworks, or is RBM different than maybe another type of breathwork? I don't know what the choice like the options are. So
Yeah. So there's two main branches. Breathwork has been around since the mid 1900s, which sounds weird to say the 1900s, but it's been around since about the 60s, 70s. And there were two branches. There was a man named his last name was Groff, and he developed what was called holotropic breathwork.
okay.
And this is very common. It's the really forceful, so a lot of force. It's very fast. There's a lot of breath holding. It creates big catharsis. It can create tetany in the body. I think it absolutely has its place. Like I will never be one to say like to like dog on that. Like
Hmm.
if anybody has had an amazing experience with that, it's totally legit. Um, but it can also be put a lot of pressure on a nervous system that is already in a state of fight or flight. So
Hmm.
just use it with caution. It does
Hmm.
have some like someone that's pregnant shouldn't be doing that type of breath work, certain health conditions, heart troubles. And then there is the other branch, and it is called rebirthing breathwork. And it is more about slow, conscious, connected breath. And what this is the branch that I am studying with Rebirthing Breathwork Mastery. It's an offshoot of Rebirthing Breathwork.
Hmm.
So my the founder of it, Alec Analda, she's from Australia. I've taken classes with her. She studied with right now I can't think of the founder of Rebirthing Breathwork, and it's like on the tip of my tongue. If it comes into my mind, I'll say
Mm.
it. But
Yeah.
she studied with him. She learned with him, and over time developed her tweaked it a little bit to add intention setting, staying with everything that arises and making everything that arises in a session a part of your material and in somehow relation to your intention.
Hmm.
Those are very unique to Rebirthing Breathwork Mastery. In Rebirthing Breathwork Mastery, our training is about 2 years, and it's getting really, really deep into our own process and learning to trust the process and the unfolding of it, and really going into some of those dark places ourselves so that we have been there and know how then to walk other people through their dark places too. So
Mm.
there are similarities. They are very similar. Rebirthing Breathwork Mastery only is with very, very small groups. It really emphasizes the maximum level of support because our nervous systems will only go as deep into our trauma as we are supported enough, safe enough, willing enough, and in pain enough to go. And
Mm.
if there's not that deep support, you can certainly go deep with regular rebirthing breathwork. People have had a lot of success with that. But with rebirthing breathwork mastery, it's very small groups, very intimate, maximum level of support to go to those maximum levels within the nervous system that are ready to unravel, that can really only unravel with deep support.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's really something that's important, especially on, I don't know about your journey, but my journey of motherhood. I feel like support is a non-negotiable for me,
Mm-hmm.
whatever season I'm in. And I think what I love the most about that is like it's essential, right? To feel
Yeah.
nurtured and cared for yourself and to feel safe, like you said, safe enough and pain enough to go there. Because if you don't, there's so much volatility. And like you said, the different fight or flight maybe is somebody who's in that nervous system response more than maybe fawn or freeze might the RBM breath work would probably be
Yeah.
maybe more appropriate, just again to downregulate and feel more at ease and not that to have that overstimulation and that
Yeah.
angst and that
Mm.
upwind kind of
Yeah.
that you maybe as a mom are constantly living in and you don't even realize it. Like
Yeah.
I can totally relate. Like what's wrong? Like you said, there's something like I felt like it was in my lungs and it was sitting there and I needed to get it out. So I just think oh, that's so fascinating about the support piece. And I love that. And I think, like you said, it sounds like you were kind of sold after doing the 21-day reset. And then you're like, I know I have to do this. I know I have to share this with other people. Was that kind of your journey to get it in 2 years? I mean, what a process,
Yeah.
right? And I
Well,
think, go ahead.
yeah, I looked
Yeah.
into other branches because I was like, well, I love breath work, but am I sure that this is the one that I want? And I really took my time. There is a movement within and a lot of chatter right now among the breathwork community, that a lot of practitioners are getting maybe like a 6 week course.
Mm.
And so I wanted to do, if I was going to do the training, I wanted to find one that was really, really thorough. So I really did take my time. Um, and it just felt right. It just felt right to do the one that I did. But there's value in all sorts. I think the breath The breath is powerful. And
Mm.
bottom line.
Yeah, I guess why do you, I guess maybe you can help me. Um, I mean, because I've heard some people say, oh, I've tried breath work and it doesn't work for me. What about breath work? I know we talked a little bit about it. It's such a kind of unseen tool.
Mm.
I can't remember your exact words that you used, but why do you think breath work is so important to the nervous system and to the regulation or to kind of unwind these stress responses in our bodies? What can you maybe elaborate a little bit on like maybe why breath work is the key that we all have, but we just don't know we do?
Of course. Yeah, well, if you were to have a doctor hook you up to monitors throughout the day, they could, by monitoring your breath, be able to tell you where your stress points are, where you're stuck, what when certain things come up, you might start holding your breath or breathing faster or more shallow or holding on the exhale or holding on the inhale. So many variations, and they could track your breath and be able to point out exactly where your trigger points are by using the breath. It's like a biohack into the nervous system. And what
Mm,
happens is you've got this nervous system that is built to go into fight, flight, freeze, and fawn as a survival mechanism. And these are good. We need those. They're there for a reason. But what
mhm,
happens is when we're in this heightened state of stress, which moms are, we just are it's the nature of the beast. We're up all night. We have kids that are sick. We suppress our own needs. Um, and we get into this state where we lose flexibility in our nervous systems because we are in those survival states so often. After a while, it's kind of like a rubber band that gets stiff with time, and then it you can stretch it out, but it can't shrink back down. And
yeah.
that's what happens to our nervous systems after a while. A healthy nervous system will go into that survival mode. The kids are throwing up in the night. It doesn't matter that I'm tired. I got to take care of business. A healthy nervous system will then be able to regulate itself after that and go back into the rest and digest. But a nervous system that is stressed, that's been under stress for a long time, is going to stay there. And so then you're going to see this low level anxiety. You're
Mm,
going to see this constant state of feeling like you can't rest, you can't relax. So you struggle to create that support for yourself because you just can't get out of that survival state. And what the breath does as we do this conscious, slow breathing, it creates elasticity in our nervous systems again.
mm,
Gradually, with time, you'll be able to go through those times of um, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and then relax and be back in a regulated state where you can react or you can act from a place of choice instead of reaction.
mm.
How many of us have overreacted to our children? And it's a little thing. They just want the blue cup, or they just want their sandwich with the crust cut off, and it's just like the last thing, and so we blow up, and it's a reaction. When we have a regulated nervous system, we can act from a place of choice. We can be free to choose our reactions instead of not being free and
Yeah.
just flying off the handle. And the other, you mentioned something else. You said that some people will say, breath, I've tried it and it doesn't work for me. I would just say that we make everything that happens in breath work. If it's happening in breath work, it is happening in life.
Mm,
And if somebody says that, my question to them would be, what in life do you feel like it's not working for you? Do you
mm.
feel like life isn't working for you? What isn't working? Is this a pattern for you that you feel like things don't work? Because that was
Wow.
a pattern for me during my training for quite a long time, is nothing is happening. And I knew from my experience that it was incredibly powerful. But all of these really subtle layers, like nothing is working for me, I feel stuck, I'm so bored. Those are patterns. If it's showing up in breath work, it is something that's happening for you in life. I'm so bored with life. Nothing ever changes for me. I feel so stuck.
Wow.
So we make everything that happens in this session a part of the session. So for anybody that's tried it and you feel stuck or feel like it's not working, maybe something to think about.
Yeah. I think that that's such a great way to flip it on its head, right? And leave it open to curiosity and to maybe peel back those layers a little bit. And I think
Yeah.
I love everything that you shared. And I think like the elasticity piece, that's like what a great mental picture of like the blue cup or the sandwich being cut. Like our kids have these bodies that they don't know what they're going through a lot of sensations and emotions too, and it just is, and I think the not just breath work but nervous system regulation. How do you think it all kind of fits into to being a mom? Like how you kind of elaborated on that with those things, but is there something there where like this is essential? This is an essential part of being a mom. I feel like
Yeah.
like for example, like the first year, there are so many regressions, teething, sleepless nights. Like if you're like myself was in my mid 30s when I had my first baby, and my nervous system has just been, trucking along pretty much on cruise control at 55 my whole life, and then all of a sudden it's like, and then
Yeah.
I like everybody was telling me to prepare for the labor classes, not the year of uncertainty. And I think again, our nervous system has a job, and we need the fight, flight, fawn, or freeze to keep our bodies
Yeah.
safe in those certain moments, but to be able to downregulate. So, like, what advice would you give to a mom to just start incorporating this in her motherhood journey, or like I guess like what about it is so essential about being a mom? Does that I don't know if that's a clear question or not, but I mean, because I feel like we just kind of unpacked it. But if there's anything else you'd like to add about just being essential for motherhood.
I would just say for me, and here's the thing, you have to find what works for you. There are so many amazing tools out there. Breathwork isn't the only one. Um, there are so many tools,
Hmm.
but I will say for me, it was the only one that worked and was not a band-aid approach that really allowed me to reach deep down into my nervous system and heal what was fractured there. I shared that I tried a lot of things,
Hmm.
um, both conventional and non-conventional. And I'll say like there's two different, there's like a daily breathwork practice, and then there's what I do in my business practice, which are these longer sessions. Um, and the longer sessions are wonderful for reaching trauma, clearing patterns of behavior, patterns of thought, decisions that we, unconscious decisions that we made when we were really, really little, um, patterns in our lives, things like that. A daily breathwork practice of just 15 minutes. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
A daily practice of 15 minutes a day is what builds strength, both strength and elasticity. And oh my gosh, the freedom that you feel, I don't think you even realize like the higher brain functions, like being creative, having fun, intuition or sexuality, the all of those higher functions, we only have true access to them when we're in a regulated state, when we're in rest and digest. You're not going to be able to really tap into your creativity and your intuition and your real life purpose fully if you're too often in fight or flight, because you can't access those higher states from there. And even though I've done this 2 years of training, and I do exchanges and I do these long sessions, I've learned even just recently I've been feeling a little bit dysregulated, and I've gone, what am I missing? I haven't been doing my 15-minute breathwork practice. I haven't been doing it anymore because I was doing these longer sessions like every 2 weeks, and I thought that would be enough. And those are wonderful, and I still need them. I have a firm belief in both. But the 15-minute, it's like food for your soul. to me. Like I gotta have some breath work every day to help keep me regulated. I stop doing it, and gradually over time I start getting more reactive. I start feeling wound really tight. I start feeling like I just don't have space. The old beliefs that I'm stuck and that I'm not free to choose, and I this feeling of lack of abundance, those things just start creeping in.
Yeah.
Breath, the longer you do breath work, these long, slow breaths, they build space into your life, into your nervous system, into your mental health, into your soul, really.
Mm. And what would you say to a mom who says, I don't have 15 minutes? You know, we're all busy. Do you have anything to say, like anything to say to that? Like, oh, I don't have 15 minutes to sit around and breathe. Like,
I understand that. I do. I understand that. And I still miss days.
Mhm.
For me, waking up before my kids wake up or staying up a little bit past when they go to sleep. And the truth is, um, we'll do anything if we're in pain enough,
Mm.
you know? And that's a hard reality. It sounds harsh. Um, but if you can't find 15 minutes a day, maybe you need to get in touch with a deeper level of pain before you decide you're ready. Of
Mm.
course, you have to decide you're ready. We're in the same way with the way we eat. You know, we have to get in pain enough in our digestion, with our health to really make changes. It's just
Mhm.
another one of those things. Sometimes we have to be in a place where we're willing. We're not just in pain, but willing. Are we willing enough? Are we in pain enough? If you're willing enough, you can find 15 minutes. And if you can't right now, that's okay. Like, just get real with yourself where you're at. I just feel like I don't have 15 minutes. How does that feel for you to feel like you don't have 15 minutes?
Yeah.
That's not a good feeling. That's such, I've been there. It's such a tight, restricting place, and
Mhm.
it can feel so real. So having compassion on yourself for being in that place, and just knowing that when you're ready and you're willing, your breath is waiting. It's not going anywhere. When you're ready enough and willing enough and in pain enough, you'll find the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like this breath work was made for mothers in a way because you can ultimately do it not just pregnant, but you can do it, you know, with your kids around if that's something you're.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like I like to do my breath work by myself, but I
I do
have done
too.
se I have done sessions before where I'm out on the grass in the warmer months and laying there with my kids and just I even will have my eyes open staring at the trees, you know, and just like being in that radical place of awareness and like pure consciousness. It's just like it's very divine. But I mean, so I've done it both ways, but I do prefer to be by myself. But I think it's just you can totally do this type of breath work while being a mom. Like as you are
Oh
like
yeah.
and your kids are going to feel that. They're going to co-regulate with that. And that's like
Yeah.
what a healthy, nourishing thing to do for not just yourself but for your kids. So, I think that is something else that has gravitated me towards this type of breath, like the
Yeah.
gentler breath. In the conscious breath compared to maybe some of the more intense breathwork sessions. But so I think
And
that's also
kids
very
map our nervous
inviting.
systems. They
Yeah.
map us. And so when you're regulated, I just can't emphasize enough, when you are regulated as a mother, your children will become more regulated around you, and they will map you and they will feel safer with you.
Mm.
And I mean, there were women in the training that would have babies or toddlers that would come lay with them during the long breathwork sessions and would play around them. I've had clients over
Mm.
Zoom that have had like 4-year-olds jumping around and throwing tissues all over. And we just make everything a part of the session. We just make it all one of the things that we say heading into a session is stay with any reaction, stay with like any noises in the room, any interruptions, just becoming curious about your reactions and just
Mm.
making it all a part of your session. Breathwork is for life.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that we do separate from life. We
Mm.
bring it into life and we integrate life into it, and we take our breath with us out into the world. And it's just this beautiful, like, synchronicity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. I think we're going to finish on that because that was just in a nutshell so divine. Elise, thank you so much for just giving us a bite-sized piece. I feel like there's so much more to bite off, but I don't want to bite off more than we can chew. I want it to be small and digestible for people to just kind of sit with and think about. And if they have any questions, is there any way that anybody can reach out to you? And I'll be sure to include anything in the show notes as well. But so don't feel like you need to spell anything out. But if you just want to share where people
Okay.
can find you.
Yeah, of course. So I am on Instagram at the breathing room. There is an underscore at the beginning and then in between each word. So at underscore the underscore breathing underscore room.
Okay.
And then I do have a website, thebreathingroom.com with a hyphen between, not at the beginning, just the hyphen breathing hyphen room.com.
Okay.
And then I do have an email list you can sign up for also. And I do group sessions. And I do have a place on my website where you can click and book in. I did just today put up the group sessions that I'm going to be doing for the month of March. So I've got a couple that are online sessions, and then I have an in-person group for anyone that's in the northern Utah
Hmm.
area. So on my website, just go to the group sessions at the top and you can book in there if you'd like. And yeah, just can find me. Probably Instagram is where I'm the most active.
Okay. Amazing. Well,
So
I'll be sure to include all of that in the show notes for everybody to,
yeah.
as they listen back and probably fall in love with you, just like I gravitated towards you. Found you on Instagram. And again, thank you for coming on and taking the time out of your full schedule. So thank you.
That's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. It's my favorite thing to talk about. So it's just
Me
been a
too.
pleasure. It's been a great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Mama. Thank you for joining me today. If this episode resonated with you, would you take a few seconds and share it with a fellow mom friend who is also navigating this journey of motherhood? Also, if you could spare a moment of your precious time and leave a 5-star review for the show, it lights me up to know that this podcast is helping you mother with ease. Time to go rest and ground down in all that we covered here today. I'll meet you back here next week for another episode with love and gratitude.